Hello everyone, today we're talking about the explorers who disappeared searching for the North Pole. Imagine sailing into a frozen wilderness where no rescue can reach you. You have no phone, you have no GPS, no way to call for help, just endless ice stretching to the horizon. Now imagine that 129 people entered that frozen world and never returned. For more than a century, nobody knew exactly what happened to them. This is the story of the Franklin Expedition, one of the greatest mysteries in exploration history. The year was 1845. At the time, the British Empire was obsessed with finding something called the Northwest Passage. This was a sea route through the Arctic that will connect the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Finding it will transform global trade and bring enormous prestige. To accomplish this mission, Britain chose one of its most respected explorers, John Franklin. Franklin was already a famous naval officer and explorer. Despite being nearly 60 years old, he was elected to lead what many believe will be a historic expedition. The mission included two ships, HMS Erebor and HMS Terror. Together they carried 129 officers and sailors. The ships were among the most advanced of their time. They even had steam engines and reinforced hulls designed to survive Arctic conditions. The crew left England in May 1845. Crowds gathered to watch them depart. Most believed they would return as heroes. Nobody knew they were seeing them for the last time. For several months, everything appeared normal. Whaling ships encountered Franklin expedition in the Arctic and reported that all was well. Then, the expedition disappeared. Completely. Years passed with no messages. No ships, no survivors, nothing. At first, people assumed explorers were simply delayed. The Arctic was unpredictable. But as time went on, concern turned into alarm. Eventually, Britain launched search missions. Then more search missions, and then even more. In fact, dozens of expeditions were sent to find Franklin and his men. The search became one of the largest rescue efforts in history. Yet, the Arctic refused to give up its secrets. For years, search teams found almost nothing. Then, clues began to emerge. Explorers discovered abandoned campsites, pieces of equipment, human remains, and stories from local unit communities. The clues paint a terrifying picture. At some point, both ships became trapped in ice. They could wait, and wait, and wait. But the ice never released them. Imagine being stuck in a frozen prison for months. Then years. Food supplies began running low, temperatures dropped to unimaginable levels, the men were isolated from the world. Eventually, the crew abandoned the ship. A note discovered years later revealed that Franklin had died. The surviving sailors attempted to travel south on foot. Their goal was simple, survive. But the journey was almost impossible. The Arctic is one of the harshest environments on Earth. Blizzards, freezing temperatures, starvation, exhaustion. Every kilometer became a battle. One by one, the men disappeared into the wilderness. None of these 129 crew members ever made it home. For generations, people debate what killed them. Some of people believe starvation was the primary cause. Others suggest disease. So researchers later discovered evidence that many crew members may have suffered from lead poisoning. The lead likely came from poorly sealed food cans carried off in the expedition. This could have weakened the men and impaired the judgment. Then another disturbing possibility emerged. When scientists examined some of the remains, they found signs suggesting that in the final stage of survival, some crew members may have resorted to cannibalism. It was a shocking discovery, but it also showed just how desperate the situation had become. So imagine being so isolated and desperate that every normal rule of life begins to break down. For decades, the greatest mystery remained unanswered. What happened to the ship themselves? Nobody knew they were. The Arctic had hidden them completely. Then, in 2014, something incredible happened. After more than 160 years, researchers finally located the wreck of the Erebus beneath Arctic waters. 2 years later, they found the Terror as well. The ships were astonishingly well preserved, by the cold environment they discovered helped many questions surrounding the expedition. Yet, even today, historians continue studying the wrecks. New discoveries are still being made, and some mysteries remain. The Franklin expedition became far more than a failed journey. It became a symbol of humanity's desire to explore the unknown. These men ventured into one of the most dangerous places on Earth, chasing a dream that seemed impossible, and although they never returned, their story continues to fascinate people nearly 2 centuries later, because sometimes the most interesting part of this history isn't success, it's the mystery left behind. 129 men entered the Arctic, the ice swallowed them, and for over 150 years, the world searched for answers. So, what do you think happened during the final days of the Franklin expedition? Let me know in the comments. See you next video. Thanks.